The issue we're dealing with today is this trans issue, particularly the trans suicide issue. We pointed out that the main factor in trans suicide does not appear to be social disapproval, but poor mental health, typically triggered by childhood trauma. In fact, 90% or more of all people who die by suicide had at least one mental health condition. And a politicized medical establishment now only makes matters worse by ruling that diagnosis out of bounds and immediately prescribing cross-sex hormones and surgery. And by the way, I'm reading from the book Correct, Not Politically Correct in this little section here. This does not mean that social disapproval has no effect. That is why speaking the truth on this issue, like all issues of great personal consequence, should be done with great care. We are all made in the image of God and should therefore be treated with respect. Attitudes of condemnation, insults, and bullying are never right and only contribute to a person's fragile mental state. It is not their fault they were traumatized. People identifying as trans need friends who will lovingly and who will be loving and truthful enough to get them the appropriate help that they need. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this also doesn't mean that we must agree with one another on every moral and political issue. The LGBTQ community doesn't agree with conservatives on most issues. However, conservatives don't claim that this is driving them to suicide. And even if they did, that would not mean that LGBTQ people should shut up or keep their opinions and insights, especially helpful ones, to themselves. If we attempt to censor or shut people up, as the left often does, we will lose a vital foundational brick in our civilization, the opportunity to learn from one another and make moral and political progress. Most attempts, have you noticed this, ladies and gentlemen? Most attempts at censorship are implicit claims of omniscience and infallibility. Shut up, because I already know the answer. There's nothing I can learn from you. That's obviously not the way forward, friends. That's not what a free society does. The hard truth is this. If a person is so fragile that a contrary opinion drives them to suicide, it is not the contrary opinion that is the problem. They need good mental health care, not the censorship of people who may be saying exactly what will help them solve their problem. Yet, even if social disapproval was the main factor in trans suicide, that would not make agreeing with everything LGBTQ the solution. As we'll see in the next section, the data shows that transitioning only makes matters worse. People need to follow the evidence where it leads, not where ideology demands. And then in the next section, I don't have time to read it here, but in the next section in the book, Correct, Not Politically Correct, I go in to point out that people who have the surgery, who go through it, the biggest study ever done shows that there is a honeymoon period where they feel better, but at the 10-year mark after the surgery, the suicide rate rockets to 19 times higher than the general public. So it actually gets worse. It's 13 times higher prior to surgery. It's 19 times higher after the surgery. So this is not the solution, ladies and gentlemen.